When it comes to serial killers, most people think of the USA, the UK, or Russia. But China, to have many, and some are more scary than others. In this series, we will be taking a look at the most evil serial killers from around the world, including China. So make sure to stay tuned for future episodes. There have been many serial killers in China since the split, and they definitely have some crazy stories which we might cover in a future episode if this one does well. That would be you, man. He was born in the city of Jining in Shandong province in 1970. In July 1994, he began his killing spree by killing his father. He killed all of these people between September 1994 and January 1995. He was sentenced to death, and on April 7, 1996, he was executed by lethal injection. In August 2002, he began killing people by defrauding them and then murdering them. Eventually, he was caught and sentenced to death. On November 28, 2013, he was shot dead by a firing squad. He was born in Guichi City in Anhui Province in 1969. Wu Yu was a police officer in Ankan City. He was working as an armed police officer in the city's Public Security Bureau. Gao usually befriended people who he saw as being rich, and then tricked them into giving him money. However, Wu Yu didn't want a baby and forced her to get an abortion without telling anyone. In 2005, Wu Yu's girlfriend broke up with him and told him that she wanted to find another man. This made him go insane, and he began killing people he didn't know. If they agreed, he would then kill them and steal their possessions. He was caught, and in 1995 was sentenced to death. Soon he was executed. It was only later that it was discovered that Yu Man had actually murdered 27 people, and not just the 7 that he confessed to. She was born in 1973 in Liaoning Province. Lu Xin was married and had a son and worked as a salesperson. Yin Xia was born in Jiangsu Province in 1971. He had an older brother named Yin Dan, who often bullied him as a kid. In 1993, Yin Shai left his hometown and moved to Shanghai, where he began living on the streets. All of Yin Xia's victims were young women who he approached in hotel rooms. When questioned, he claimed that he had killed inside. He said that the women had tried to molest him, and he had reacted violently. During this time, he managed to kill 2 more people. He was sentenced to death for these crimes, but while in prison, he appealed against his sentence. While awaiting the result of his appeal, he was allowed out on bail. Zhao Xin was born in Shaanxi Province in 1983. He worked as a miner and lived with his parents, sister and wife. However, this claim was rejected by the police. Yingxu was given a life sentence and remains locked up today. During this time, he committed 4 additional murders. He was eventually recaptured and executed by lethal injection in 2009. Shui was born in Liapanshui City, Guizhou Province in 1970. Between 1997 and 1998, Shui Wenji and his friends committed 9 murders and 5 cases of robbery. He borrowed 15,000 yuan from a friend named Chang Li in order to open up a store. However, the store failed, and Zhao could not pay back the money he owed his friend. He then stole 50 yuan from the victim and fled. His father was imprisoned for a crime he did not commit. This meant that Gao's mother had to raise him alone, and this made Gao resent his father. A month later, on January, he entered a hotel room occupied by a young woman named Su Chung Shu and killed her in the same way. After the accident, he developed a strong hatred for doctors. If you want to see more videos like this, stay tuned. But that is it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to learn more about any of the topics I spoke about today, I will have some resources linked in the description below. This led him to kill 3 doctors and 2 nurses. he was caught and sentenced to death. Gao was executed by lethal injection on February 11, 1998. After Chang drank some of the alcohol, Zhao brought him into his bedroom and smothered him to death. And a few weeks later, he killed a third man named Luan. Zhao was eventually arrested and sentenced to death. He was executed by lethal injection on April 14, 2010. He then took his friend's body and buried it in a nearby coal pit. However, his new business also failed. With no other options, Zhao decided to kill his friend and steal his money. But due to the fact that he had shown remorse for his actions, the judge recommended that he be given a life sentence. In 2004, the Supreme People's Court of China agreed, and he was sentenced to life in prison instead of death. This case is very similar to the case of Ted Bundy. The 13-bar serial killer was a serial killer and rapist who targeted young women. Again, he also stole money from her. To do this, she began killing people and then feeding their bodies to pigs on her family farm. She used a total of 5 victims, and over the years, body parts from these people were found on her family farm. Lu Xin was caught and in 2004 was sentenced to death. She was executed in 2005. What makes this case similar to that of Ted Bundy is that the serial killer escaped prison twice and went on to commit more murders. His motive for the crimes was said to be revenge against women. Wu Yu was eventually captured and sentenced to death. On January 3, 2008, he was executed. After withdrawing the money, he would then murder the people whose ID cards he had stolen. Shui Wenzi was arrested in March 2000 and sentenced to death. Strychnine is a deadly chemical compound derived from the seeds of the Knox vomica tree. It has no known antidote, and there is no effective treatment for poisoning. Once someone has been poisoned, there's nothing doctors can do. He was finally executed in October of the same year. The reason why he killed so many people was simply because he hated society and felt superior to everyone else, and he did this by beating them over the head with a brick, just like he did with his dad. He beat him to death with a brick after he caught him stealing from his workplace. Yu Xiaogan worked as a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine, and between 1992 and 1993, he poisoned dozens of patients who came to him for treatment. Also, in this episode, we're looking at the Chinese serial killers from the People's Republic of China, not including those from before 1949 or after the country split into 2 separate regions. So first up, let's take a look at the second deadliest serial killer in history. After doing this, Yu Man went on to kill his mother, 2 brothers, a sister, a cousin and a friend. In 1995, Yu Man was arrested and during questioning, he confessed to all the murders he had committed. Next up, we have to look at Guo Chenggang. Gao was born in May 1970, in Hebei province. He went on a killing spree for 10 years, killing many people across 8 different provinces and directly robbing them of 3 million yuan, almost $500,000. Now let's look at Wu Yu. In 2004, he met a woman who became his girlfriend and she became pregnant with his child. Between June and July 2005, he murdered 10 women. Moving on, we have to look at Shui Wengi. During their crime spree, Shui Wengi would use his victims' ID cards to withdraw money from their bank accounts. Now let's look at Yu Shui. He was born in 1958 in Hunan province, but spent most of his life in Shanghai. He would poison them by putting strychnine in their food and drink. Yu Xiaogong poisoned his patients in order to claim their insurance money. Moving on, we have to look at Lu Xin. In 2003, she became obsessed with the idea of becoming famous. Next up, let's take a look at Yin Sha. On December 1, 1994, he entered a hotel room at the Shenyang Hotel and strangled a woman named Shang Shan to death. He continued killing people in the same way until he was caught. In total, he murdered 6 people. Next up, let's take a look at the case of the 13-bar serial killer. Like Bundy, he lured his victims to his home under false pretenses, and then tortured and killed them there. The first time he escaped, he was on the run for 2 months before being recaptured. However, he escaped once again and remained on the run for another 10 months. Next up, we have to look at Zhao Xin. In 2008, Zhao decided that he wanted to start his own business. Zhao was ashamed that he couldn't pay back what he owed and planned to borrow more money in order to pay off his debt. He invited Changli to his house and offered him alcohol. A few days later, Zhao killed another man named Liu Gangjun in the same way. Moving on, we have to look at Luo Zhaoji. Luo was born in Sichuan province in 1962. Between 1998 and 2003, he murdered 6 people and raped 3. In 2003, he was caught and sentenced to death. Finally, let's take a look at Gao Chang. Gao was born in 1966 in Jiangxi province. He had a difficult childhood. In 1995, Gao was involved in a car accident and suffered a head injury. So those are just some of the most evil serial killers China has ever had.